How about now? I think that's it. Oh, it was muted. Okay. Um. Okay. Can you hear me now? It's showing green in the XSplit. All right, there we go. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, apparently when I paired my system to XSplit, I could not go into YouTube without XSplit because it's tied to my account. So I do apologize for the confusion and the back and forth. If we could just reshare the information that I've gone live. It just took me like 20 minutes to go live. Um, So I really appreciate those who've had the patience to stand by. Um, all right, so I'm gonna have to put in the messenger. It's all fixed. All fixed. Try again. All right, cool. All fixed. Try again. Okay, great. I know there's not a lot of you here, but that's okay. It's whatever. It gets shared out eventually. So I kind of wanted to do some things with if people had questions with engine installs. But first, let's do a quick little like shop tour. There's a heck of a delay. And let me just, I guess I'll open the door. And we can see a lot more room and definitely a lot more for me to be able to do stuff. Now, again, still kind of just a one car shop. I mean, I could do more outside. I have a lot more parking now. Like, this is all parking, and uh, this right here is parking, and I can park straight down this way if I need to up to that line. So essentially this property over here, I still kept my blasting cabinet outside. I didn't want all that dust in there. Ooh, oh, I lost reception. Um, so, oh, alarm. Yeah, I'll have to go to everything here, and there's like get it all fixed. Be like, hey guys, it's all fixed. Too bad I can't reload it. Edit. Okay. All fixed. Live is working. Man, I definitely hate the fact that I have to have it all linked now. So, fire away with the questions. First things first. You can see that I am doing an install, and well, let's do this. I'm gonna walk over to the car. So, this engine, I know there's a delay, so I'm just gonna talk as the delay. We can see that this is a 4-piston short block. Let me see if the camera comes to where I need it to go. I gotta come in tighter then. 4-piston short block, one of my cylinder heads. It's set up for this guy's, he's a stock turbo, but the reason we ported ahead is to future-proof the car and to keep the ignition sensitivity down. So, as of right now, let me get Angel back in here too, bro. Angel, where you at? You in here? All fixed. So, you know what? I'm gonna send a link to Wendell. So, join my live. So I try. Yep. All right. Cool. We're getting. Funny thing is, the count for the that's concurrent viewers. Oh, that's okay. Cool. 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 So, um, one of the things too, like a lot of people didn't know, I legit have full shop. Like I have everything. The only thing I don't have and I'd like to get would be probably a drill press. I think that would be a good upgrade, you know, that would absolutely give me the ability to go further. Why did that do that? Whatever. Anyways, Brian, what's up, bro? So, questions like, okay, how much time, specialty tools, things of that nature, tools that make it easier, like, fire away, man. Tell me something if you've done some sort of engine install, right? Andy, I know you've done a ton of them. Tell me something you ran into that you made your life easier, right? Let's keep this about everybody, you know, so that everybody can, you know. Oh, and by the way, I do this with every car. Every car gets a list, and this is a list of the parts I take out in the order that I take them out, and I create these bins with all the nuts and bolts in the order in which things were taken out. So everything is always together. This is how you keep parts from getting lost. I love this. I didn't pick this up on my own. I didn't come up with this, but this is an amazing idea. These are little Craftsman bins that I bought on Amazon. So if you're into doing a lot of stuff yourself, man, you know it's going to be a part for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe even a month, man. Lifesaver. Absolute lifesaver. So I'm going to do the work as I go along. Let me take real quick, slam this torque mount in, and fire away with the questions, and then I'll answer them. Let me get that rubber mallet. Yeah, this was another thing. I can't stand when you got the larger torque mount and that thing does not want to go in. You always got a rubber mallet to get this sucker in. Or I should say a dead blow. And then usually she'll get in there and be close. There's the one thing I gotta do underneath the car right now. Oh man. Not fun, man. I never liked this torque mount. Come on, baby. Go back. There we go. Come on. Come on. Come on. No, it's still not. There we go. You going home, baby. You are going home. Come on. And she's home. Motor to move. Right. Of course. Alright. I never like having this thing get so damn tight. There we go. Alright, that's the one thing I can't stand, man. Wedging that sucker in there. Alright. For me, I have one tool for when I'm R&R'ing these cars. One tool or two tools. So, for me, this ball joint tool is amazing. Basically, rather than having to take the whole brake rotor, backing plate, caliper off to get to the 219s, this is amazing to separate the ball joint underneath without damaging the boot. A lot of people use something else. They use, let's see, I know I've got one floating around here because I just about never use it. Don't use this. This is not good because when it gets in there, you always catch the boot, and it destroys the boot. So for me, that's a no-no. Now, if the ball joint is already destroyed, okay, you're replacing the ball joint. The other tool that I love, okay, is this right here. This is not cheap. I forget how much these cost. This is by Ingersoll Rand. And it's to get the Honda crank bolts off. That is all this is for. This is another amazing tool that will save you a whole lot of headaches. You know, because the problem is you can't grab the flywheel. I have a flywheel tool. So this bad boy right here is a flywheel tool, okay? And let me go into the XSplit so I can see myself right on live. Perfect. So this being a flywheel tool, all right, this is great. It's supposed to hook in, but there's a problem with the Type R flywheel. Instead of having just a straight tooth on the flywheel, it's actually helical cut, just like you would a gear inside a transmission. And because of that, this wonderful tool, you cannot hold the flywheel and torque this down. It is the biggest pain in the butt. Another tool you're going to need. Well, okay, if you're taking the downpipe out and swapping it, you're going to need an O2 sensor tool. Now, this is your typical one, and they're okay, but if you have a taller actual O2 sensor, I have a better one. She's buried up in here somewhere. Might be in this drawer. I might even have it on the cart. Where did I put that thing? Well, that's annoying. It's here somewhere in this mess of tools somewhere. I have it. It's an O2 sensor socket tool. There it is. Easily the very best O2 sensor socket tool you can buy. It fits in everything. There actually is one that this doesn't fit, and that's some of the newer Nissans have this. And for those who don't know, this oxygen sensor, right? You do not have to buy this from Honda. You can actually buy an LSU 4.9 standard one because it is 100% wires, the wire color, the wire organization. The thing that you won't get if you do that is this locking clip that allows it to lock to the car. So, but you can buy, because this locking clip goes in here, and this helps you clip and lock it into the car. So, I just want to show you guys that. And you see that's locked onto there, and that's how that works. And this will actually help you, like, for mounting it. But they make this sensor, it won't have this piece, which you really don't need anyway. And it's usually the wire's longer. But you're literally talking half the price. So if you need to replace them, which with higher mileage, this isn't a bad idea to replace something like this. It definitely is beneficial, higher mileage, just to verify, because these cars are closed loop, which means the simple fact is they're constantly adjusting fuel. And if this isn't working right, your engine isn't going to work right. So, and just want to make sure we still have good connection. Yes. So, next up on my list. So, let me see. So, evap tank hose. Yes, yes. Transcooler, AC compressor, coolant reservoir bracket. So, this is what I mean by I have everything. And I have these big bins with all the parts. And depending on how sensitive the part is, depending on how I stack them. Mule bracket. She's buried up in here somewhere. Battery bracket. Battery. She's here. I might have it on the porch. Oh, there we go. So, although, because I had to move shops, normally when I put these in the bins, they're a lot more directly organized for part in order. And I start making rows, but because I had to move from one place to the other, it definitely became a bit of a hassle. That is box. Alright, no more to need this. Step 9. Should be two 10 millimeters in here. And there are two 10 millimeters. That's uno. Get over here. And then I had the other one earlier in my hand. Need more. There we go. Now, one of the things, this bracket for the coolant reservoir, it's a lot easier to put this, well, let me get the car down. Put this bracket in when you don't have the motor mount in, and I forgot, so I put the mount in, and I didn't take this out yet. Put it in. Oh, I want to show you guys something else that's cool. Okay. So I made an oops, but it kind of worked out good for me. So I thought my Craftsman compressor was taking a dump because it was making this hellacious noise when it turned on. And I don't know how it happened, but these bolts were coming loose. So can I? Yeah. So, oh, you want to use a spacer? Hold on. So, and then I ended up, because of that, I was just going to link this as a secondary tank. But at this point, I had already set it up, and I'm like, well, damn, I already set the whole thing up. I can't return it at this point. But I needed more air power anyway. So it was an oops that worked out, because those bolts were loose. It sounded like the thing was going to come apart. And it, well, kind of was. And now that I have this DeWalt one in here with it, I have 56 gallons of air, which is awesome. So, your spacer can I use for my secondary O2? I don't have Hondata. It's for my FL5. Well, if you don't have Hondata, you're pretty much wasting putting a downpipe on. But any spacer that is not a 90 degree, you need a spacer that has a shorter distance. If you do a 90, it's going to throw a PO140 O2 inactivity. That's definitely an issue. You don't want to do that. 2,000 cc's of meth or port injection, what would you recommend? I would never do port injection unless you have Motec. Also, quick tip. Over here. Quick tip. Don't ever let your quick jacks down almost close to the floor without wheels on the car. I've done it in the past. It was an oops. It gave me a huge problem trying to get the car off. I did it to my own car. And I kind of want to do like I did where I had the camera right over there, right next to me. I wonder if I got a way I can do that. So while I'm working, so I don't have to walk over there every time. So Motec is awesome, but I'm gonna let you guys know doing port injection on Motec is extremely complicated. No one makes a port injection harness anymore but moi. And I'm gonna tell you right now, don't take it the wrong way, it ain't cheap. I'm not doing a harness for that stuff with adding the injectors and the actual because you gotta add a fuel pressure sensor at that point for port injection. Just the harness alone, guys, I charge $1,000. It's so much work. It's such a pain in the butt. It looks like a simple harness, but it's kind of really not. Um, I don't know anybody else that makes a harness. I asked the guy because I didn't want to do it for years. Like I asked the guy from over here. He goes, "Oh man, can you make me a harness?" He was like, "Oh, I'm busy," and I was like, I literally sent him the message back how I asked him a year ago because I hate doing harness work. Oh, why'd the computer do that? I'm sorry if it cut out, guys. It went to the screensaver. I gotta change the screen. What the hell just happened? Man. So stupid. Come on. Oh my god. Stupid freaking thing. Yeah. Where's my notifications? Stupid fucking computer. Damn it, come on, man. Sorry. I oopsed. I fixed it.
We have no further suspects at this time. All evidence suggests
Alright.
marketing message.
I don't know why this thing's being... Well, it cut out on my end. It turned around, and what happened was, when I went to go and move the computer, I shut the browser. I gotta take my screensaver and set it to off. So, crap. Because it logged out of the primary screen. Display settings. Man, I wonder where'd they shove it? No. Screensaver, none. I don't know why it did that, but it closed down the other stuff on my screen. So I thought I lost everything. So, apologies. Sorry about that. Let me get something to move the computer over. Oh, the advantage of portable carts. I love these things. Okay. At least get this somewhat closer. Alrighty. Hey, I'm close. I'll have to go back and forth to look for the questions. Although I still gotta go by my list. Now, this is a pain in the butt to do this list, you know. So, basically, I already have the AC compressor, reservoir bracket, trans gown, trans cooler is not on. And then, so, another trick, okay, to keep from damaging the transcooler lines. So the transcooler, both of the trans, it's so tight in here when you're pulling the transmission out. If you don't unbolt the transcooler from the trans, you are very highly likely to actually bend one of those lines that come off of it. So, and you could really do some damage to your trans without a cooler if you're doing like track events and stuff. So, although, like, you don't actually have to take it out of the car, but you have to actually unbolt it from the trans so that it's just kind of hanging there. And then when you come back in, you can just obviously bolt it back in. Saves you a lot of headaches, man. I'll tell you. Oh, man, what's going on here? I'm just in the wrong position. Where is the other one? Oh, I see what's going on. him away. There we go. And then once I get this in here, I'm going to have to see with that charge piping. So there's 4 12mm bolts. It definitely prevents any possible damage. Yes, there's extra time involved in it, but it's the difference. Let me do it this way. Doing this is the difference between right and wrong when you're doing something. Like, to the customer, you know, I've seen it so many times, this cooler smashed up when other people do engine swaps, man. Tell me, man. They smash the ever-living crap out of this thing. All the time, man. And I mean all the time. And while it can be a pain to get in there, you know, not always fun to get it done. So, again, you know, you got questions, you know. Another thing I gotta tell you, it's probably good advice, is for the most part of your build, stick to one person, right? If you've got somebody that you've got like really good experience with it, right? And they've done like what I call, well, all right, I know it's a weird expression, soup to nuts build. I don't know where it came from. It's just an expression I had years ago from somebody, and it stuck. But basically, that means an all-in-all build. Stick to one person. Try not to get information from like 20 different places, because you're going to do yourself an injustice. Oh, I forgot to mention too. Another good tip. The AC is very prone to breaking. Right where this, they call it a muffler on the trans, very prone to breaking. So when you're taking it out and leaving the AC in the car, undo this bracket. And this will give some play to keep from breaking that AC line. So I'll be probably doing a late night tonight, and you know, oh yeah, let me give you guys, since you're here, something very special. Let me bring the computer back over this way to do this better. I just posted about this. So now this isn't a direct comparison, because the turbos are different, but I want to show you what I noticed, because I was not able to get a direct G30 770 to compare it to. But this is the new G Series Gen 2 G30 825 right here. And if you look, okay, this is a G35 1050. And what I want you to notice on the new G Series Gen 2, look at how tall and how much this compressor wheel is now almost as tall as the 35 1050. Also, and the other cool thing, they did not change the compressor cover. So if you did something special where you had to like weld an end on here, right, you can literally throw this core inside a setup you already have. So I will have data on this soon. And, dude, I think it's going to do really well. It's set up for higher boost levels, which this car kind of needs due to the way the cylinder head is. So it's going to favor higher boost pressures. Because if you look at an old compressor map of a regular Garrett, like G30 770, which is what this replaces, you'll see that that compressor map, when you get into the higher boost, kind of rolls back over away from the high flow area. So all you got to do is look at the difference. Now, there is some efficiency losses when you do favor higher pressure ratios, but this thing instead of being like 30 pounds of boost and it rolls back over, it now carries according to the compressor map. But we have to do real world testing because, you know, maybe it's fantastic for it, or maybe it's far less efficient and needs more boost for like similar 600, 700 horsepower. So, no, you cannot convert a 2867. You have, it's G series to G series only. You cannot do that. No, because the G series, the turbine wheel, which is obviously the other side, is totally different. The shape is different. The trim here is different. See what these are, the trim is identical. Now, I also see, it might not translate on video that well. Let's see. All right. Can you see how much this tip sticks out versus the original G35 1050? This is G Series 1. This extended tip isn't pushed out as far. This also helps in favor to higher pressure ratios. So the height, and when I say pressure ratios, I mean like how much the exhaust back pressure flows compared to what you get out of the compressor. So what Garrett realized was these 9-blade turbine wheels that they created were so efficient that they even had room in the turbo to put more compressor on it. It is a myth that every turbine wheel must be bigger than the compressor to make power on a 4-cylinder. That's not true at all. That is only true when you have a 10-blade turbine and not a 9. So, and for your converting, it's like a 2860R, 67, it's really, at that point, you just get a Garrett. It's maybe a lot of work to get the setup in there, but man, I'm telling you, these Garretts are amazing. Man, just for reference, like 29 pounds on a 3900 did 653 on Chris's car. It was on ethanol. And then the Carlos, so that was Chris's car, and then Carlos's car did 30.5 to 31 pounds, 680. So that we got to see though, like, does this favoring the? Let me show you guys the compressor map. Let's do it this way. Okay. G30 770. So, and it's a 58 mil. Yeah, allow. Now, what we can see is, this is what I mean by the compressor map rolls off. All right. Now, we do have really good efficiency. Let me move this over. 76% efficiency, but when we start getting out here to the edge, we're down to 65%. You know, and generally 680, like, you're over here. Now, this is in bar absolute. I should make this clear. The first bar here is 0 psi, essentially, like atmosphere. So when you're looking down here at the bottom, this is atmosphere. So this is technically 2 bar. This is 29 pounds. So effectively, around 2.3 bar, where the peak efficiency of this turbo, if you can get into that part of the compressor map, is, no, sorry, 1 point, sorry, because I'm looking at this wrong. I got to take away 1. So it's 1.3. It's like 20 pounds of boost is the peak efficiency. So you'd have to have like a big old V8 to move that over. So we're up here. We're up in this area. So now let's go over to G30 825. Same, still 58 millimeter. Now, if we're going to compare these compressor maps, you can see right up in here, Here's the 3770. Now remember, it's just an all compressor wheel change. Now, the peak efficiency is 75% over here. Here where 680 was, which would be around 68 pounds a minute, we're still in the 70, so it would be 31 pounds. We're still in like a 70% efficiency area. So rather than being over here in the 60s when we're up here, because you're going off the map, man, it definitely gets less efficient up here. Now we can see, and if we look, the bar up top, like we're hitting 3 bar positive. Guys, that's 45 pounds of boost. Now, I don't think you'll never hit that without running off the compressor map here, right? But we can also see this thing now flows at 30 pounds. It can flow up to, looks like 76 pounds a minute, which that should be, in an ideal setup, mid 700s on this turbo. So we are literally talking going from a turbo that struggles to make 700 without changing anything but compressor wheel design, literally getting another 50 plus wheel horsepower out of it. And you don't have to go to a 62 mil compressor to get it. I think that is a hell of a deal. And again, like I said, some of the efficiency is down in that area because that's what happens. You just don't get perfect efficiency. But man, what a good thing that we've kind of needed. You know, that is really cool. All right. I thought I'd love to share that with you guys. Why is this? Oh. Yeah, it's a magnet. I'll get things stuck to it. Man, it's very hard to keep this place clean and spotless, man. Did I close the damn thing again? God, I hate that. I'll log myself back in so I can see what's going on. It's not even whether or not you guys can see me, it's whether or not I can see me. There it goes again. Tell my phone, yes. I don't know, I did something wrong where every time I go to accidentally close out my browser, it just wipes everything in the browser. Such a nuisance. There. Now I can see myself. Hey, Danny, you asked about the 6870 or 2867 Gen 2.
We have no further suspects at this time. All evidence suggests you are getting a message.
You know, that doesn't help me, dude. God, I hate when they do that. New landlord, man. This is on Meet Me on Thursday. It's like, great, dude. Like, I'm not on his beck and call. God, I hate that, man. I hate being a one-man show sometimes, man, because you try to get things done, man, and you have to do running around, bro. And I spent 6.5 hours just running around yesterday, which makes things impossible. But I felt like I needed to kind of give some back to the community because I haven't been doing lives. All right. Now, and finally, start putting some of the goodies back on. You know, getting this thing nice and ready. Now, I probably should have, well, I could have before I put the mount on, possibly put this hose from underneath the reservoir on, but then it kind of gets in the way of itself. Let me go back and move this over. I cannot see questions. Yes, Danny, I am, but I just want to be clear. The internship, the whole idea behind the internship is to learn the car as a whole. Every time somebody's sitting there talking about an internship, the first thing I hear in their mouth is, I want to learn how to tune. Well, that's great. But I'm gonna be honest with you, man. All these guys out here that are tuning Honda, there's a whole lot of things they don't really understand about what happens inside the engine. And the thing I'm looking for is somebody that's gonna come here and be a part of the business long term. Okay, the amount of information, because I used to teach. All right, I'm ASC certified. I used to teach. The amount of information here, it's huge. But it's like the internship is not to pay somebody. It is like free school, is essentially what it is, and it's a long progression. It takes years to truly understand what the heck is going on inside an engine and understanding how everything connects. You know, it's not just about how a map sensor works or this sensor. It's understanding completely how an ignition event occurs and things like learning how to use an oscilloscope to read ignition coil output. So it's a pretty hefty, I want to say it's a real course, essentially. So I need better wheel nose. Or, I put them outside. I did. Where did the close? But yes, I am looking for it. I cannot afford to teach in paid though. It would have to be room. There's a room that is available. You know, and that much to say. I don't want to get like too crazy information. I don't know what you're allowed to say on YouTube or not. So if you really want more questions, information on it, I would say just text me and then we can have a conversation on the phone. And we can figure out, everything there that way. Just text me so that I know, because I get a lot of junk mail and calls all the time from all sorts of numbers. And I don't want to accidentally block your number not knowing, it's just actually you. Also, I want to mention, don't be in a rush with this stuff. Of course that falls off. I mean, I'll say this though. You've got to really be passionate about what you do, right? So for me, So for me as a person, which is something I kind of don't normally discuss, and I probably should, because people probably want to know, who the heck am I? So when I'm working with a customer's car, man, it's like it's mine. Sometimes I care too much, to the point where, I do too much that I shouldn't for people, to the point where, because I want you to succeed so much, because when I see you succeed with your build, dude, I love that. That's just, that's fucking amazing, part of my language. I think it's absolutely fantastic when somebody comes to me, we put it together, and they're like, hell yeah, and they love their car. It isn't about me making a number, it's about them being excited about their build, and they're done, and they're just like, yeah, let's get it. That right there, is everything to me, man. That is just absolutely everything to me. Evap tank hose. So, man, that is just, for me, it's special. And why did I write Evap tank hose? Because this is right here, and that's the charge pipe. And I wrote Evap tank hose. Interesting. I'm trying to think of, Okay. Yeah, this is one that's always a pain. There's one down here in the back. I see evac tankos. This one, oh man, I swear, that's like one is that one. What a lot of people do is swap. Back here is firewall goes to the tank. Hence the name evac tankos. Darn thing, slave cylinder and bracket, charge floor, charge pipe post. So another thing, cool tip. And this is again just an experience thing I've learned over time. The slave cylinder, when you're doing this in the car, leave it connected. So right now this is connected to the actual hose. And this will make your life a lot easier. So you just disconnect it from the bracket down here. Get back in there. Fluid don't want to go down in there. So you just disconnect it there. Oh, let me flip this over. And there should be two 12 millimeters. That's the point, man. It's kind of like too crazy that. Oh, look, two 12 millimeters, and it should be a 10 millimeter nut. I don't have to go digging for parts. So, I mean, that's another great thing, man. You don't got to go digging for parts. Well, it's definitely a pain. Another thing I'm going to get away from is Clutch Masters has a twin, right? That FX725, and I have one of those upgraded slave cylinders, man. And I you know what? Honestly, man, it's great for pedal feel, but man, I'm so sick of that thing. That thing has caused me nothing but problems. Especially like because it was with a customer's car, caused me problems. I'm beginning to hate this socket for these. It does not want to stay on here. For some reason, that does not want to stay on that. I have no idea why. But that is a brand new, and all the other ones stay. Another cool thing I did on my tool cart, I like it, but I gotta start being less sloppy about it, is right here on the side. I'm supposed to put all my extensions and stuff here on the side, and technically I'm not doing that, and breaker bars and stuff. Nice little shop trick. Thank you, Danny. I appreciate it, man. I do. And, you know, this business can be great ups and downs. It has its days where you just kind of question. Oops. Let's talk. Oh, come on, get in. There we go. And that is in there. And now I get to check the clutch pedal. How do the clutch feel? Nice. Engagement point feels good. Feels a little bit heavier than stock because it's a stage 1 XCD. Still an organic, which is going to give it really good long life and longevity. So that's a good upgrade from stock. It's not a drag racing type clutch. That's definitely not something we want to do for that. But for light track use, which is what this car is going to be for, that's going to be a heck of a little starting off point. You know, keep some longevity to it because organics always last longer. I don't need this anymore, and this is holding the engine. good tip, right? Take the rad support off, man. It's not a matter of needing to get the engine out. It's a matter of when you take this off, the amount of access that you have, my God, it's like, it's a different car to work on at that point. So, I'm past step 9 now to step 8. Oh, now I'm into the fun part. Axles. Yay. So, I was saying about the ball joint tool. You have the ball joint tools for down underneath on the bottom. On the bottom of the... Let me see, can I get any closer? Let me do something here. Wait, maybe I get the fan board, the awesome light. See if I can. Will she stay stuck or wedged? Can I wedge you somewhere? Can we please... Oh, wait a minute. No, that's not going to work. How about... Will that shine enough light? Kind of. Okay. So, tie rod end stays on. There's a 17 and a 14 here that come through that bolt this ball joint, the lower part. It's a dual ball joint setup, which is really kind of wild. So, this one is K-tune ball joints. So, let me see if the adjustment is... Let me see if it has the adjustment like the white lines. Because the white lines have a really interesting setup. Okay, so this is a fully slidable ball joint. So, when you run into this, this is why that tool is really important. When you run into this looks like, yeah, this has got to be adjustable. I'm pretty sure it is. I might be wrong on that, but it might just be an offset. But there are some of them where the white line is notched, and if you put them back wrong, you're going to totally destroy the alignment. What'd you say, Del? Gotten the extended ball joints installed at the same time. Actually, I'm going to say until you get really low to the ground, I really kind of wouldn't worry about ball joints, right? The ride height factory is like almost fantastic. There's a couple things that people do that I wouldn't do in a track case scenario. And one of those things being, I wouldn't do front sway bars. You want the front loose. Now, you might be able to get something like if they have an adjustable link, but I wouldn't go too crazy on that. Where you want these cars tight is in the rear. You want everything you can do in the rear of the car. And what this does is when you have like a little bit more pressure in the tires in the rear and you have very tight in the back end, and instead of having a toe in, you can have a zero toe. It gives the car a lot of rotation, even though it's front wheel drive. Now, the reason I say that ball joint tool is crazy because like an old school Honda has one ball joint set up. There's no extra pieces. There's no extra stability arm. This arm's kind of like a stability / guide for where this knuckle goes. So if this extra little arm here, again, sorry for the glare, hard to see. So all these need to be removed to get this out. So you have your little air director for the brakes. And then you got to take the lower ball joint out, get the control arm down, and then you take the 17 and 14 down from here, and you also remove the sway bar, because when you're pulling the axle out, you got to push the sway bar down, so otherwise the boot doesn't fit through there. And okay, so I'm going to need a 22. Oh, it's on the part already. Do I have an expander? There's my 22. And what I mean by expander is, yeah, no, I don't. Okay. Where's she? There it is. By the way, if you ever get this DeWalt Atomic, I'm just going to tell you ahead of time, guys, be careful. This thing's got a buttload of power. this suspension on these cars are pretty good, man. A lot of people were asking, how does the FL5 fare in comparison, right? Like, why is the FL5 kind of a little bit better? Well, suspension's a little bit tighter, and then the other thing that the FL5 has, the FK8 don't. Oh, let me get that. Here we go. Is the FL5 has a longer wheelbase, and even though that makes for less turn-in, it makes for more weight on the front tires. So they've kind of found a really awesome balance, and it's a true wide body. So even though the car is got a longer wheelbase, they've also stretched it this way, which kind of is almost like having just a bigger car essentially. And so what they've done is create more balance between the front and the back, because the wheels are out further and further away, so it brings the engine weight back further in the car. And if anybody knows anybody that has a lift that they want to sell, hey man, let me know. Because I really do not, I'm getting tired. I'm too old to do this stuff on the ground. Where did I put, oh there it is. I'm getting way too old to do this stuff on the ground. So, this is the side where putting the axle in, you really shouldn't be doing any damage. The seal is because you have an intermediate shaft. Oh, come on, get off of there. Now, rotator, get her started, and then should, as long as you get the spline started. Oh, come on, baby. Don't give me no problems. Come on. Alright. There. And you'll hear that pop. And that bad boy is in. Now, here comes the really fun part. Getting all this aligned. This piece in here, alignment with this, while getting the ball joint in. And everything's moving around, and you got to get the axle inside too. Lots of fun. Where's the big boy bar? I don't know. Do I need the big boy bar? Big boy bar. Because I really don't want to get myself whacked with any parts. So always start by rotating. Now, of course, this piece, ball joint is turned. I just need to make sure before I go putting the ball joint in that this piece that's underneath here aligns, and she's gonna fight you. Alright, spline is moving in there. You gotta get in underneath the control arm here and push her down. While getting this all aligned, it's not fun, to say the least. Sometimes you get lucky, and sometimes you don't like that. You gotta fight it. This is the part that sucks every time. Getting the piece inside of there. Oh, gotta take the ball joint back out. Definitely, maybe I should pull the rack. Alright, give me some leeway on the rack. There we go. Once that's aligned, then you can really push the rack back where it was. Now, another trick. Oh, geez. I can't push hard enough to get it over. There it goes. If you disconnect the battery with the key on, the steering doesn't lock. Another neat little make your life easier kind of thing. Ball joint is in place. Now, I need to square up to get this nice, gigantic 17 millimeter in. Any reason why those would start shaking after install? Yes, that is. What happened is, let me go grab an axle. I'll tell you what happened. Someone pulled the inside of this. It's like slotted inside of this case. And it's a unique design if you ever pull an axle apart. And if you pulled it too far, pull this out too far, you've actually pulled it out of its position in here. And you've actually broken the axle, possibly. Now, you might be able to take the axle back out, and you'll feel it. You'll push on here, and you'll see one of those pieces that goes in the slot. I think it's usually 3. Again, the technical names, man, nobody rebuilds axles anymore. But you'll see, and I know because I've done it many years ago, like 25 years ago maybe, when I was like 19, 20 years old. You've actually turned around, and one of those pieces is just hanging out, and it's going to shake the crap out of the car. And the only other maybe possibility is you don't have the axle nut in. Unless you're doing a replacement and maybe your replacement is no good. When you have an axle shake, all right, it's gonna be when you accelerate or decelerate. Usually just because you're changing the load on the axle. So what'll happen is you'll hit the gas and the car will start shaking. And you'll feel it. The engine will run fine. The car will have power, but you will end up with a vehicle shake because that inside of here is actually on the outside of the axle. And like I said, sometimes you can get lucky and you can get them and kind of push them back in without having to take the boot off. Sometimes the best experience is to make the occasional mistake. Although, of course, you don't want to do that. Another tricky with the 17 and the 14 here that are underneath. A little tricky. Alright, where are they? And you gotta make sure oh, stupid computer. You gotta make sure that when you put the 17 and the 14 in, that they thread in easily. If they don't, and you run them home, you're going to do some damage when you're trying to run the other one home to destroy the threads. So what will happen is, I've seen it a couple times, people take this apart, put it together, and they won't check to make sure one of the bolts thread in, and they have a hard time, so they just go, and then you got to take it back out, and the threads have it's almost like somebody partially smushed the threads all the way around, and it can cause it to gall up really bad. And although a lot of people just go, oh, send it home, and they do. I always, and always, especially with suspension and stuff, man, you gotta really double check, man, by hand. You don't necessarily have to torque it to, oh, kingdom come and perfect. When you're new, torque everything. Serious, torque everything. When you're new to the business, torque everything. So see, now that I've got, I can turn the car, the steering rack, without having the battery on. And this will not do any sort of damage or anything like that. Yes, it's an electric rack. It's gonna help me get that 19 back here in. Now, another good trick, right? When you're doing your disassembly, okay? A lot of these are lock nuts. And if you just go, everything's going to start spinning. And if you spin these ends, these ball joint like ends and tie rod ends, and spin them to death, you will destroy the inside of them. So it's always good when you take them apart to put like PB Blaster or something on them, so when they come off real easy. Prevents damage. And if it wants to spin, Okay, the trick, man. I did this. I learned this a long time ago. If it wants to spin, right? Since it's a press fit on a pitch, right? You could take like a floor jack and push it up into its socket to keep the actual ball joint section from spinning. This is again only in the case of when you have one that's spinning. You can't do it on tie rod ends, obviously, but that really does make a big difference, and it saves you a lot of headaches. And the last thing you actually put together, even though I could technically put this tie rod in, I put it in last because if I do that on the other side, I won't be able to get the axle in the sway bar. Now, the ball joint socket does not need a lot of tension. All right, you don't want to go send that home inside the control arm. If you send that home inside the control arm, like really send it home, the next time you need to maybe take it out, it's not going to want to come out. And you basically just need to set them to where the safety lock will allow you to just slide the safety lock in. And the safety lock, which you'll find on these, is just a little pin. So, all right. While not super hard, but annoying, is this air ductings. Just because the placement the DE5 and FL5 air ducts, they're even more of a pain. I don't like those things at all. What a pain. No, that can't. No. Wait a minute. Why does that look funny? No, that's right. Am I having a brain fart here? You know, I'm about 95% sure. No, that's right. No, that's right. Okay. Sitting there thinking that I put the ducting in wrong. But if I did it this way, that's definitely wrong because that's going to push the air up here. It's supposed to grab it underneath here and pull it in. Okay. Having one of those, I guess you want to call them senior moments. Come on, why is that on the wrong side? Oh, come on. How did that end up over there? Oh, man. Tell me I got to take that back out over. Well, not everything goes as a plan. The tie rod end, that's got to clear right there. Oh, you know what? I can get that through there. Well, you can't always get it perfect every time. Look at these lines in the way. See if I can get this thing back on the other side. Without having to take this whole damn thing back apart. The other way. Oh, man. Oh, wow. So that's going to be some fun. So, I did something that never had happened before. The tie rod end, or not tie rod end, the sway bar link is literally not going to the other side because it went behind the strut because I had that knuckle assembly loose. So I gotta loosen that 17 and 14 again and this 19 down here and wiggle this thing around. Oh, look at that bolt back. There. Well, that's a first. Not a big deal though. You just fix it and keep on trucking. What matters is you catch it. That's what matters. Let's see, can I scoot this around? Oh, come on, don't fight me like that. Be a good boy. Good car. No. Damn it, man. Come on, go in this way more. Nope, that's not gonna happen. Cool. Win some, lose some. Sway bar link and got stuck behind the other side of the strut because when I had this forward, it pulled the strut forward and it fell behind there further than I wanted it to. So, which means I gotta take it back apart. So, remember what I said about not over tightening stuff? Well, I just got it right in my. Unfortunately, I have to take the ball joint back out. Well, that sucks. But it happens. Can't get too upset about it. But man, am I blind. I can't see nothing to save my life. Fortunately, so that is definitely the first time I've had that happen. There we go. Can I slide it back there now? Oh, come on. Which way do I gotta go to get this bad boy back through there? Come on. Why are you fighting me, man? Just give me a little bit more room. Come on. No. Damn. Wow. Okay. So, I gotta get the ball joint to him. That sucks. That definitely sucks. So, guess I might as well tell you how to do it. Take the ball joint tool, make the ball joint do about one turn is all you need past the loose point. And that is blinding the hell out of me. I need to get a different light. Take these, put them back in the tray. Get back in there, bad boy. So, you only need one turn. You don't want to go too far because then you'll mess up the actual castle nut. And that's what it's called, castle nut. Take your tool, slide her in there. Okay, and then take the socket tool here, and because I didn't over tighten it, it shouldn't take. You don't want to keep winding the hell out of this thing. You want to get it snug. Now, you heard that. That means it just separated. Because I didn't over tighten it. It came back apart very easily. Now, if they're being on for a while, it probably won't do that. Usually what will happen is you'll have to get some tension on it. And then after you get some tension on it, what you'll have to do then is, you'll have to actually take a hammer, and there's a flat spot on the side of the control arm. That's literally what it's for. There's a flat spot over here, and after you have tension, you give it a good couple hits. If it's not coming off, don't hammer all day long. I hate it when I see people, they pry down on the pry bar and like, bam, bam, destroying stuff. Don't do that. That's not great. Okay. Now, you, come here. There. That's what I needed to do. All that ruckus for that. And now I gotta line this bad boy up all over again. So, come on, baby. Be good to me today, please. All right. One side lined up. Oh, man. You bugger. It was lined up. Come on. Come on, man. Give me some love, man. Come on. This is when it's normally good to have two people. Yeah. Come on. It's just lined up. Hold on to that end. There we go. Come on. Don't come out. Not that way. There we go. Yay! So, tip. Leave tie rod end forward. Leave this on this side. I am so glad I did not over tighten that ball joint, because that would have given me one hell of a headache. So, like I said, this is the one part of the car, man, that, I don't know, it just gives me a hard time, man. Everybody's going to have one. Oof, I am sweating up a storm over here. Getting this done. Nice, she threaded right in. No fighting. Okay. The other thing I love about this, the wall. It's got a lot of torque before it actually impacts, which is cool. So, because you can have bolts that, and it stops. I love this thing, man. Best compact impact I've ever used. You know, for it being 75 degrees in here, it sure does feel a little bit warmer. So, and usually when you make a silly mistake like that, you don't do it twice. Just simply because, well, you don't want to do it twice. Oh, man. That hurts, man. Alrighty. As we say in the industry, Guten Tag. That's a joke, you know, like I'm German or something. So before I was looking at it going, okay, I was like, man, do I have the wrong one on there? But they don't go this way. They go this way. I don't know why. For some reason, I was staring at it like I had it backwards. I'm like, you know, one of those moments. I guess they call those senior moments. Like I'm an old man. Sometimes I feel like I am. Okay. That is all but one last thing. Sits in here. It's over there. Now, I'll tell you, teach you a little silly trick about the axle nuts. To tell whether you got the right one on this, the side it came off of. You see how close that is to the locking point? That's not. We dimple these. These get dimpled so they don't come off. See that little dimple there? That's because there's a slot in the axle. Well, you'll know which side came from which one when you go to tighten it back up. Runaway nut. That's cool. I must have spun that thing to death. Let me try it again. It is just warm in here. You gotta put it on, and you're near the original notch to the notch in the axle. Now I am. Now I know that without a torque wrench, I've tightened this within probably a couple foot-pounds. Now this is a crazy torque spec. I mean crazy, guys. Let me go. What did I just do? I just minimized that. There. Alright. This be one crazy torque spec on these. There's a reason. So FK8 axle torque. I have it in my thing, but it's easier to just look it up. 181 foot-pounds of torque. Okay? That's a lot. Now, I'll show you how to do it. There's two ways that people do this. Alright? Now, because depending on whether or not and how the rotor is vented, the easiest way is to lock a screwdriver in. I kind of like doing that better because the material in the actual rotor is pretty stout. Let me turn this on without having the socket on so it's correct. I don't like holding a pry bar against the studs because what if you slip and you turn around and you mess up these threads? You're not going to damage the rotor. That rotor is stupid on there. Now, I'm really just kind of making sure that I'm at least close to spec. So that says 186. I'm going to back it back off just to make a point. Right? And I'm going to tighten this thing again. And I'm going to end up stopped at the same exact point I was before. And if you're worried about thinking that you're going to possibly damage this brake rotor because you're putting tension on it, I want you to think about the fact that this thing has to stop the whole car. It's got to stop thousands of pounds in motion. So don't think you're going to do any sort of crazy damage or something like that. And if you're worried about leaving a mark, take a cloth, put a cloth underneath the edge here when you put it in, and put a cloth there. Okay? if you're worried about leaving a mark on something that's like really like new. Again, I prefer to not put a pry bar here, right? And I prefer to do that in that method. Those are the two methods that you can do it. And then now that that is on there, I don't have a hammer with me, but that dimple, now that pushes in and creates like a lock for your axle lock. So my question to everybody that's still left in the chat is, how did you get into cars? How'd you get into this stuff? What made you get into cars? Right? Man, I really need a full lift. What drove you to, were you in your childhood? Because for me, man, when I was a little kid, I built a crap load of RC cars. That was like the thing, you know. I remember, man, for those who don't know, an old car, RC car, man, they don't even know if they still make it. It was Tamiya Grasshopper. Your wife got you into cars? What? Yo, that's crazy. I've never heard anybody say, how did you get into cars? My wife. I'm gonna be a smartass. Were you running from? No, just kidding. Man, I never heard that before. So you were not a car guy until your wife came in the picture? Wow. Oh, you're right. Yes. That's right. I remember. Sorry, man. My apologies. Yeah. Wow. That's right. I remember you telling me about that, dude, and I think that's amazing. That's probably the most amazing thing I've ever heard, simply because that's so against the norm, right? Like what we call normal. Bro. That's freaking awesome, man. Man, kudos to you, man. Kudos to you. This belt was driving me nuts. Man, that is just freaking amazing. Wow. My wife got in the cars. Tell her I said hello. Now on to the fun to the other side. This is the side where you guys got to be super careful. Let me undo the battery charging because I don't think I'll need it. So I'll explain why you need to be careful on this side. And for those who have done it, know why I'm saying that. This side doesn't go into an output shaft. It goes directly into the transmission, which you can definitely create yourself a lot of headaches. All right, now before, let me get this bad boy on the other side. Oh, I need some push pins. Definitely some push pins. Alright. I usually have some extras lying around. There we go. Oh, that's not the right size. That's the smaller one. Shoot. Interesting. Alright, if that's the smaller one. Is this the bigger one too? Nope, they're all smaller. Huh. Okay. Just gonna have to get my other push pin bucket container. Man, that's starting to hurt my knees, man. Where are my push pins? these fit? Any of these? Hey, there we go. Alright. I have another spot. Yep, there's one up there. Okay. And then, is there another small one? I think it's right there. We got some interference here. Oh, we got one. There we go. And there. Nice and nice. Now, stay in there. So, for me, man, cars, it was funny because my aunt asked me what I wanted to do for a living. And it was quite interesting. She said to me, what do you want to do when, as an adult, like a career? And I said to her, I want to be a mechanic. Now, I don't call it a mechanic anymore. I call it a technician because the world has changed since then. And she goes, why would you want to do that? You're so smart. Well, I'll tell you this, man. If you look at cars today, and, bless her soul, unfortunately my aunt's not here anymore, but if she were to see cars today, she would be like, oh, damn. Because cars like this have over a mile of wire in them. So, came across Formula One when you were younger. That's all it took. Yeah. Learn how to drive stick RSX Type S. That's cool that you learned on that, man. And you never look back. A buddy of mine's got an RSX Type S, man. And that thing's nasty. I'm gonna make my life a little bit easier. Make my knees hurt a little bit less. It's all-wheel drive. It uses I think it's a 350Z rear end, and it's a sleeve block, aluminum rod, 1,000 to the tire kind of car. And man, I got a ride in that thing, and I could tell you, man, third gear, my eyeballs felt like they were going into the back of my skull, and my vision started to get blurry. I was just like, holy shit. And at the time, my car made 500 wheel horsepower. And I tell you, man, I get in my car and I'm like, man, this is slow as shit. My car felt so damn slow at that point. I felt like I was driving a bone stock type car. I was like, oh my God. I was just like, it ruined it for like a week. I get in my car, man, I was like, this shit is slow. I was like, oh man, it almost ruined my perception of the car. Alright, up we go. Oh man, I wish I could get a good shot of this. Alright, come here. Come here, steering rack. Oh, you don't want to go? Alright, let me just... Oh wait, I gotta go right. That'll give me more room. Come on. Oh man. Alright, so I gotta go down with the control on just a little. Now I can align it. You're gonna give me a hard time. Come on, baby. Give me some love. Those of you who have done this, you understand the frustration. Oh man, come on. Like trying to do 3 things at once. Alright, what am I doing? I'm a dummy. I'm not thinking. I'm getting ahead of myself. I need to stop doing that. Doesn't matter. It's just an accident. Now, be super careful try to get my light down in here so that I can see what's going on down there. Let me get these out of the way. This harness out of the way. Come on, stick. Alright. You don't want to damage the axle seal. And it's really kind of hard to see through here. Be very gentle going in and lining this up. There we go. And then, there we go. She's in. That should actually kind of help me line this up a little bit. Cool, baby. Oh. The only chassis to really scare you. Huh. The RSX Type S. Probably because, like, well, I mean, this car, there ain't nothing scary about it until you make about 700 to the tire plus. Then it starts getting like, yo, what's going on over here? Come on. Man, lining this thing up is not fun. Okay. Stay there, please. Please stay aligned. Please. Be nice to me. Be good, car. The axle's causing me a problem. Come on, get in there. There you go. Hey. Hey. There we go. So I have, Danny, I had thought about it, but you're talking at least $10,000 in unproven parts, and then you're adding a ton of weight to the car, and you can only really gut about 200 pounds out of the car. There is somebody who was talking about it online, but he was saying something about the rear hubs using, I think it was an RSX axle. But he said to make the hub itself fit inside the knuckle, you just needed a Dremel to drill out the outside edge for clearance. And I was like, oh, hell no. I'm going to go find somebody else if we're going to do that. And the thing is, there's nobody who makes a bell housing. I refuse to take a K20 old engine and put it in this car for what? That's not true to the car like I think it should be. The other thing is, if you do that, you know, I just don't feel like, I mean, you don't want to go backwards, right? And then it's so much work, and what are you really gaining, right? So what you're definitely gaining is the likelihood of exploding a transmission. It can be done, but the amount of work and money involved, you'd have to be like a really hardcore YouTuber to make money, and there's really like, unless you have like 500,000 viewers, right? It just doesn't work. And you can't really make money unless you have at least start making money. So you have like 100,000 subscribers, and I'm nowhere near that because I'm in a specialized area. So it's that, because I'm more specialized and less general. So my YouTubes need a lot of work. I know they do. Oh, I gotta take this off before I can put this in. Come on. Come on, baby. Give me some love. No? What the heck's going on here? Which way do I gotta go? What the heck? Ah, there we go. Sometimes you just, oh, I forgot to get the locking extensions. There's the one. Where's the other one? Did I not forget to get the locking extensions? Where'd he go? Where is my locking extension? I need my short locking extension. Yeah, I don't know. I prefer the locking extension in case I don't want my socket to go flying. Well, you know, I'm just a guy, man. I'm just a guy who's done a lot of work. I want to say though, I've tested so much stuff that you try to just share, and I don't think people really recognize how much has been done. So, Mars, there's something cool. Nope. Nope, that other one's got to get loosened. That's exactly what I was talking about earlier. Let me do this. See how it feels. Will she just kind of ride away in? Yep. There you go. That's what I was talking about earlier, where the bolt wants to be tight on the way in. Stop what you're doing. And don't go sending that stuff home, because you might find a big problem later. So, and you saw, I stopped what I was doing there. I really wish I was in a more populated area, and that might happen sooner than later, but it will happen. This place, while it's cool, is a stepping stone for where I'm headed. And this stupid computer. Wake up, computer. Stop falling asleep on me. 17. Did I put the 19 back? I probably did. I need a lift too. Anybody that's got a lift, like a lift, I'll give them cash. I have some cash stored away. Some rainy day cash. Because after today, my knees are killing me. That stuff hurts. Oh, where's Axel? Anybody know somebody who'd a lift? Please let me know. The pins are. Wait. It really hurts. Well, I definitely didn't get as lucky as the other side, so. Where is the pinhole? Where are we on this thing? Oops. So I'm saying when I say pinhole, there is two spots. When you're putting a ball joint on, that it's got like a pass-through hole. So when I slide the pin in, it has to align. And I just not, oh, there it is, got it. Sometimes you gotta turn it just a little bit more. So even if there's a torque spec on a ball joint, you don't always hit the torque spec. As long as she's snug, you are good. Good to go. Alright, that's tight, snug, been double checked. So I used to think this what was it? I think there's an oil cooler kit. I like this one better than some of the other ones because this HKS kit, it doesn't delete the brake ducting like some of the other ones do. But I really don't think we have the greatest brake ducting on these cars, man. I think that needs some work. So, and also, man, that return system, man, I gotta start getting that out the market, man. That is an amazing return system, man. That it's a good clean setup. And the big advantage is it's a lot easier than the current return or fuel return systems on market. Oh, that stinks. I just spilled something. So, what I've done with a partner of mine in this is a bracket for holding the actual fuel filter, rather than turning around and having to like drill holes in your bracket on your charge pipe. We opted for one of the bolt holes that's on the firewall, and you can do a single M6, but the other holes are here for multiple vehicles to move it around. And basically, you can put a nutsert on one, and then you have the original hole there to hold it there, and then the actual filter housing goes on. Filter housing goes on here. The regulator's already attached to it, and it's already set to the factory pressure. And basically, other than maybe adding the nutsert, right, and a little bit of work in the fuel basket, right, as far as like putting the fitting through the top of the fuel basket, if you want to do just a standard Walbro 450 return system, it is to support 680 wheel horsepower on like 55-60% ethanol without having to wire in a relay. Now, the relay is going to be an option, and you can put up to a Walbro 535 in there. And the other thing that's really kind of cool is instead of using like a check valve in tank or something like that, I opted for a check valve inline from the tank to the front and keeping it before the regulator so you don't end up with too much pressure in the system. See, the problem with some of the ways that these guys are doing it now is it's going through the regulator, okay, into the filter, then back into the high pressure pump, and the check valve being inside that other filter. That turns around when you turn the key off. If you see the pressure that comes up on that side because of the heat in the engine and the fuel wanting to boil, I've seen well over 100 psi in those lines, just slamming all that pressure through the system up front. That's not great because that's not the right way to do it. You always want the check valve before the regulator. That just turns around and makes sure that you are not putting too much into the system. So that's a very important measure when you're doing return systems. Also, a lot of them that are out there that they try to do don't even have a check valve in line. So everything goes back to the tank and you get a very long crank. And I really wanted that to be part of the return system being proven and tested. And it's been on the car for, a month now, I think. So it's already proven. So now it's just a matter of bringing it to market and finding the appropriate price point for everybody. And they will be made to order. All right. This thing's ancient, bro. It's ancient. Oh, yeah, another tip. Don't ever let these on the ground without axles in them. If you do, I promise you what's going to happen is this bearing is going to be shot. No, that that one doesn't go in as far. I had two of them, didn't I? Thought I had two of them. Yeah. What the heck did I do with that screwdriver? Well, there it is. Okay. Oh, I'll get a hammer this time to make life easy. Well, for whatever reason, this one did not line up quite identical when I torqued it to spec. But that's okay. Alright. Dust guard. The last pieces to the equation. Tie rod ends. So, push the one back, then go push the other back. Alright, shoe. 14 millimeter. Take my battery pack back over. And the computer, once again. Screensaver mode. I think, there we go. Alrighty. Axles are done. Kind of not in too much of a rush because I'm still waiting on a couple small odds and ends to show up. And then I gotta get a Honda for the car. Thankfully, I finally have a resource for that. Honda is interesting. They want you to have a brick and mortar. I don't understand why in this day and age. Tell me, you guys. I'm gonna tell you something. Tell me what you think. Honda, man, wants you a brick and mortar building with a storefront. Now, in this day and age, who the heck has all that? Because I don't know many people that do. Flip her around. So the drawer is here. I'm going to try to do it this way. Bolt in drawer. Feels good to stand up. Such a silly thing to feel good about. Yes, you go back. I'm probably going to stop the live in a few minutes so I can really get like cooking on the rest. I just wanted to kind of share some info, give people kind of a concept of what gets involved in this stuff. It's not, a lot of people just don't share. I kind of understand. So, I love these torque wrenches. They do everything, man. They do degree, torque, you know, just like, and it's amazing. You can turn them upside down, 6 ways, sideways, and they can somehow measure the angle when you're doing angle torque. I love it. Okay. Clean up my raster pencil created over here. Put this back. I don't need this big boy power anymore. And somehow I used the 19. And there's the 24. Tray. 19. Voila. Put the cameras back. Don't need them. Oh. One product that's old and one that's new. SI delay valve delete. Going to be available like the Type R. So for those in the don't want to deal with this monstrously annoying clip in here, I can do that and sell it as a fresh brand new unit so that you can literally just connect, lead the system out, and then be on your way. And for some reason, seeing people forget, I have injector upgrades for the SI as well. 20% more fuel, so might even be a little bit more than that, but I've been able to do almost, well, basically 400 wheel horsepower without a Honda cam on ethanol on an SI with these injectors, and running the standard SI fuel pump, my modified line, a DW3 300C in the tank, and there's a pretty big turbo. It's a PRL turbo for the SI, and yeah, these nice set of injectors. Ladies and germs, I really gotta start blasting the music and get trucking. So, oh, Brian. Oh, okay. Well, Brian, we'll talk about that. I think, Brian, you have the Honda fuel system, because I don't remember if you have the Honda fuel system for the SI, or if you're talking about the delay valve delete for clutch. So, which one are you talking about, sir? Where did I put that? Oh, okay. You don't have the Honda fuel system for the SI? Because that has an injector upgrade. Yeah, it's the same. It's the same one. It's the same injector. So if you need them for replacement in the future, rather than going to Honda for a whole system, the Honda ones are plus 20%. They are. But I have sets if for some reason you have one fail in the future or something like that, because just for reference, like I had the other day a customer, and this is what hurts when the car sits. That's always kills them. Had actually a few weeks ago had the Honda fuel system for the Type R, and the injectors failed. One of the injectors failed, unfortunately. So he's just driving down the road and just, and it happens when the car sits. All right, I really got to get hardcore serious on this. So thank you for everybody who tuned in, and thank you for the followers. I hope I shared some good information that's beneficial to everybody. You know what? I'm sure a lot of people are going to take this and just DIY it themselves, and that's cool. Do your thing, and but like if you are questioning whether or not that's something you should do in your South Carolina area, okay, cool. And I got one other big one but it's for anybody. It's got to be an SI in the South Carolina area or particular in California. I have a company who has reached out to me for doing an upgraded drop-in turbo for the SI. It's not a ginormous upgrade, okay? If you have something like a 27.1 W2, you've already got something bigger. But I'm looking for somebody going to do a testing, and the company agreed to pay for turbo and dyno time. So I can't say any more than that. It's an NDS, non-disclosure agreement, NDA. So anybody who actually finds out about this, in time, they text me about it. So thank you very much, everybody. Appreciate everybody who came to the stream, and hope you learned something. And I hope, like I said, you enjoyed it. And everybody have a wonderful week. Thank you, Juan.